Eagles. Eagles.
Welcome in, everybody, to a Saturday edition of Football 24/7 right here on JAKIB Sports as we continue to take you through the Eagles training camp. One preseason game is now officially in the books. We've turned our sights on the next preseason game and then ultimately September 4th, which will kick off the new year versus the Dallas Cowboys. Joined now by John McMullen, the #1 Eagles beat reporter in town. Give him a follow on X at JF McMullen. Johnny Mac, how you doing on this Saturday afternoon, brother?
Doing well. Back on the practice field. A little bit of a strange period after the first preseason game right before, obviously, Cleveland coming in this week. So, but yeah, it's that time of year. You're right back to it.
Yep, no doubt about it, Johnny Mac. What is the schedule just for the listening audience so they know fully? When do the Browns come to town? When do the joint practices take place? And then I know next Saturday, a week from today, at I believe 1 p.m. So 1 week from now, we'll be playing that game. That's when the preseason game will be next Saturday at 1. What's the schedule with the Browns this week?
Well, I should note before the open practice tomorrow, because the Eagles have sent something out. They've sold 60,000 tickets, which is the most ever they've sold for an open practice. And there's also going to be evidently a Chris Brown concert at Citizens Bank Park. So tomorrow is going to be a nightmare. So they're telling fans to get there early. And we'll see how that shakes out. But
that's gonna be a tough one, Johnny Mac. There's gonna be over 100,000 people probably
right.
pouring into the same sports complex.
Yeah. That's one of the things with when things are happening at the same time. A lot of people like sports complex and everything being not when two things are going on at once. You don't like it, but that's what will be happening tomorrow. Then they'll have a Players' Day off on Monday. They'll have a practice on Tuesday morning, and the Browns will be in Wednesday and Thursday for the joint practices.
Got it. Good stuff there. Johnny Mac, day 11 today. It was Vic Fangio day. All right. I love listening to him, Johnny Mac. I mean, it almost like it gets better every time. I don't know what it is, but there's just something about Vic Fangio where he brings a breath of fresh air, where it feels like even you guys as a contingency of reporters ask different types of questions because you're going to get, at the very least, somewhat of an honest answer. Maybe not a long answer, but your takeaways from Vic Fangio today, who spoke this morning before practice.
Yeah, I talk about it a lot. Yeah, you don't have to, in a lot of ways. Like with Nick, I try to ask more football-centric questions to get them talking, or somebody, even if you look at Kellen Moore, who Shane Steichen, guys who didn't give you a lot on the podium, you just try to get them talking. With Vic, it's more of you just say a name, right. You get where they are, and obviously the big story coming off the game was the cornerback position and Ringo and Adoree Jackson, because they both didn't play well. And Vic was honest, as he typically is, and I thought it was interesting because I expected Adoree to be the starter, but it was the starter in practice today. And Vic, during the press conference, if you listen to him, especially the last question, because I snuck in the teaching points about Ringo, I think he wanted to see how he responded. So I think if anything, he got more first team reps today than he usually does. Because I think Vic wants to see how he responds to some of that adversity. And then, the practice debut of Jacorian Bennett started out on the third team. I saw one second team at the end of a second team period. He jumped in. So they're going to start him off slowly. It's not like he's out there with the first team. But I think it's going to ramp up pretty quickly. And Eli Ricks had the play of the day, so maybe this thing is expanding rather than, which is not necessarily a good thing.
Yeah, right. We could be up to 4 names, John. Yeah, 4 names there.
because Eli had a chance to get a pick six in the game, and he dropped it. Today got a chance in a backed up drill, and he didn't drop it. He read a Tanner McKee out route to Terrace Marshall, just jumped it, waltzed in the end zone, and punted it like he was Braden Mann in celebration. Big pick six. So, after Tanner's great preseason game, he got caught pretty good by Eli.
There you go. Good stuff from Eli Ricks. John, if I asked you to pick today, would you still default to Ringo at that position as of right now, or what do you think if week one was, this upcoming week? Where do you think Vic is right now in those guys?
I think Vic is happy it's not week one and he doesn't
Yeah,
have to play.
I agree. I got that same vibe from him today. He's like, yeah, it's still too early.
Yeah, but it's funny if you would have asked me that question before the game or even after the game, I would have said, and I said it on the show. I said, if they had to play Dallas tomorrow, I think Adoree Jackson would be the starter. After today, ironically, if they had to play Dallas tomorrow, I think Kelee Ringo would be the starter because he doubled down, and it's clearly a test. And he gave them, they've been splitting first team reps. So we always talk about, who gets the first rep, and Kelee got the first rep today, but generally they split it no matter what for the most part. But today Kelee got more than Adoree. So I thought that was interesting coming off the performance on Thursday night.
Did you see anything from Jacorian Bennett today, John? His first practice as an Eagle.
No, not much, but he did get beat by Taylor Morin. The practice ended with two great plays by Taylor Morin in the red zone. He caught a corner route on Drew Makuba for a touchdown from about the 10-yard line. And then the 2-point conversion was a quick slant to Taylor. They went right back to him right in front of Bennett. And he also, there was a completion in front of him from Darius Cooper, and those were the only two times I saw the ball go his way. And they were both completions, but both short completions. And the slant for a 2-point conversion obviously is not, it's not great, but it's not anything devastating.
Yeah, right. No doubt. John, I did like what Vic had to say as well about Ringo in the preseason game in terms of, kind of echoed a sentiment that you've said since the game concluded. That's a tough matchup over there with Jamar Chase and with Joe Burrow. The problem isn't that Jamar Chase was open and got the catch. It was not getting him out of bounds, not tackling him and letting him go the distance. And then the other thought I thought was great about it was, a good old salty dog coordinator you get with Vic that's a good learning lesson. You got to learn from that. You got to actually take it, use it, and learn from it. But that's a good experience to have early in the process here, to maybe correct some things early and have a sense of the type of talent you're going to be playing at the NFL level when you're starting corner.
Yeah, and I thought another thing Vic kind of explained was that that was a zero blitz, which Kelee.
Yeah, that was great. He was testing them. Yep.
After the game, and Vic had mentioned they played Cincinnati last year and did a pretty good job. They didn't run zero once. In other words, for a real game, he's not running zero, but he's trying to test. He's trying to test what he has on the outside.
See what they're made of, John.
Yeah. So I think that's a little thing, and you hear it from Vic Fangio. I say it all the time, but it'll resonate more coming from Vic, obviously. That's what I talk about, the difference in preseason. They're not game planning. They're not, if you're game planning for Jamar Chase, you're not running zero blitzes.
Right. Never.
With Kelee Ringo man to man. That's the kind of stuff I try to impart, but it gets lost in the sauce because, and I get it. People see a football game and they say, "Hey, Tanner McKee played well," but and he did play well, and Kelee Ringo played poorly, and he did play poorly, but there's a lot of context and nobody's game planning. It's just you're trying to test these players in certain situations.
Yeah, good stuff there, Johnny Mac. John, let's go on the field. You mentioned Ringo got more of the first team reps today, which is pretty good. Any other things stand out before I get into some of the names I want to ask you about? Talked about Jakorian already. Anybody stick out today? You mentioned Eli made the big play, but did it lean offense today? Did it lean defense today in terms of success at practice day number 11?
Yeah, I think it was the typical Eagles practice, and it was a lot of those were the two big splashy moments in practice. A lot of run game, a lot of underneath stuff. So it was not a fully padded. It was not a green practice. It was a yellow practice. So it was more laid back. Not quite the sense of urgency, and that you're going to see that, as I said, on Wednesday and Thursday. So those were pretty much the only two splash plays in the practice: the pick six by Eli and the corner route by Taylor Morin. Those were the two highlights of the practice, and the rest of it was kind of nondescript, I would say.
I did see some stuff about Jalen Carter, Johnny Mac, having a great practice today.
Yeah, I mean, there's no pads. It's more of the more of the off-season OTAs is what I'm trying to say.
Right.
More of that environment than. Yeah, I mean, there were some one-on-ones with. People get very excited we've talked about that, the offensive line, defensive line, one-on-ones. And again, the pads aren't on. They're more impactful when the pads are on. So, I'm just giving you my view of it. Jalen's always a good player. I thought the most interesting thing was after the practice, because Clint Hurt spoke to us, and he was talking about Jordan Davis and the losing weight, and it got down to the skinny of it, and he was asked, can he be a 3-down player, and he said he's in a position to compete and he's doing all the right things, typical coach speak. And then with Morrow, it's like, he's a 3-down player. It's amazing to me, the confidence. It's almost Zander Krause level confidence.
Yeah, baby.
It's amazing to me how confident and sure. And I'm thinking to myself, here's Jordan Davis. He's the 13th pick in the draft, and they're doing the normal. Well, he's competing. He's
right.
He's
the
in
political coach speak.
Yeah, and with Morrow, he's a flat out. He's a 3-down player. We don't consider him a role player anymore. He's a 3-down player, which speaks. And by the way, this is twofold, which I've kind of explained. Like I've said from the start, like, why does anybody want Jordan Davis on the field on 3rd down?
Yeah.
It doesn't.
Well, it does, John. Does it seem to you, because I do get that take from you, but does it seem to you that the Eagles do want that? They probably are aware of the limitations and have set up contingencies if he can't do it. But it does seem to me that in a perfect world, yes, they do want Jordan Davis to play that role. Now, whether he can or not, hey, maybe he can't. Maybe you're right. But it does seem like the Eagles want him to do that.
No, I think the exact opposite, which I point to Clint. They want Morrow to do that. Now, again, what they want is, they're playing, when they're playing 4-man front, they want Jordan Davis out there with Jalen Carter on 1st and 2nd down, and they want Morrow on there on 3rd down. But, you can't do that consistently. You have to split the reps. It's a rotational position. Energy and effectiveness comes into it. You can't just, so guys have to play in situations where they're not perfect for at times. But in high leverage situations, in a close game, you want Jordan on there early downs, and you want Morrow on there pass rushing downs.
Yeah,
So,
I guess I just don't see the reason for the coach speak and talking, you know what I mean, and the weight loss and some of those things. If they, if you really are good or truly good, okay, he's our run stopper. I don't need him to be a 3-down player. then why the, why the way they framed it up? Why the way, even just the way you explain what Clint talked about that? I didn't have a chance to hear him. I wasn't at the computer when he spoke.
Clint, yeah, well, Clint didn't frame it up like that. He was like, no, he's a 3-down player. But with Morrow, he kind of did the coach speak with Jordan. But with the thing with Jordan Davis, I think is the lack of reps. I think from Howie's perspective. So basically, when they're talking about picking up the 5th-year option, basically they told him to lose this weight so you can play more, because he's going to have to play more because you lose Milton. So some of those reps have to go to Jordan Davis. But
right.
Again, from the situation of 3rd and long, that's when you want Morrow on the field. You're not taking Carter off the field.
Right, obviously.
There's not going to have 5 defensive line.
Exactly.
So I've never gotten that from anybody questioning or the fan base. Like, why would you want that?
Well, John, hear me out. If Morrow with Jomo, and yeah, it makes sense what you're saying. If Morrow with Jomo is as advertised from Clint and Vic, and he's a 3-down guy, and there's little doubt. And by the way, I have a comment on him that we'll talk about in a second. But if he's that guy, how expendable does that make Jordan Davis to you for this team moving forward?
Well, I think that depends on how Morrow handles the run part of it.
Right.
I don't want Morrow Jomo on the field on 1st down. Just like I don't want Jordan Davis on the field on 3rd.
But the comments from Clint, wouldn't they insinuate at least they feel good about him doing it? Maybe they're not going to ask him to do it that much, but it seems they feel good about him in that role if needed.
Yeah, and I say that with as long as Jordan Davis is here, I'm trying to utilize, what the guy who can handle run support the best,
right,
on early downs and on obvious passing situations. I'm trying to utilize the guy who's better at pass rushing. I think it's pretty simple. I think a lot of people overcomplicate it. I'm like, all right, this guy's really good.
Yeah, right.
At stuff in the run, and this guy's a really good pass rusher. Well,
I think you understand though why it gets complicated, and it obviously all has to do with Jordan Davis, the draft status, the expectations that are put on a player, where they're taken, what they're expected of, and what the fan base, all those things add in, John. And I think that's where it gets muddy. But you're right; it is pretty simple of an explanation.
Yeah, I think when you boil it down to the Vic Fangio simplification, it boils down to that. Well, I'm going to use this guy to stop the run. I'm going to use this guy to rush the passer. But I obviously I said it day one when they drafted Jordan Davis. I called it. I wasn't sure if people were going to understand the pick and the esoteric nature of it and his role. And it's kind of borne out that way. But yeah, I mean, when you're the 13th pick, let's be honest, people want sacks, and he's a nose tackle. So you probably shouldn't take a nose tackle on the 13th pick. That's the moral of that story.
John, let's talk about Morrow Jomo for a second. I want to leave aside the little Johnny Mac Zander Krause spat that we had. Good to hear Clint is with me. But anyway, just a comment on the player, John. I mean, this guy was taken, John, 2 years ago. This isn't going to be his 3rd season. With the 249th overall pick. Now, I don't remember exactly how many picks are in an NFL draft. I think it's like 260 something or whatever. But, I mean, this guy was taken damn near the bottom of the draft entirely. And going into year 3, you got Fangio, you got Clint Hurt. You got guys talking about him, and not only talking about him, but their money's where their mouth is. They're relying on him to be a massive part of this defense. I think that's pretty impressive for a 7th-round pick by this team. Obviously not the same circumstance as a player like Mailata, who had to learn how to put on a helmet, but still pretty amazing nonetheless that a 7th-rounder is able to do what he's done to this point in his career.
Yeah, I obviously anytime you hit on the 7th-round pick, but again, we still have to see. There's, like I said, there's tremendous. Like the phrase our spat had to do with Milton Williams, which, they're talking about him as a player and their confidence in him as a player, which is growing and growing. But the bottom line is guys played I think, 460 snaps or thereabouts in his first 2 seasons. That's it. I mean, he had 60 something in his first season as a rookie, which is understandable, as you mentioned, as a seventh round pick. Last year was about 388, and then he played more in the postseason because he was playing better and better. So it's a really big step up in his projected role this year, and we're going to see. I mean, one of the reasons he fell to where he fell was because he's undersized. So, and that was the question today when Clint said, no, he's a 3-down player. He's not a role player anymore. That question was, can he play the run? Because we were talking about Jordan first.
Right.
Can he be a 3-down player? And he gave the coach speak answer. And then we were talking about Morrow, and it became, well, other side of that coin, can he stop the run? And Clint said, yeah, he's a 3-down player.
Yeah.
He's not a role player, is basically what he said. But, it's a big step up. So he hasn't done it. Like I said, for all the talk about him being a great pass rusher, very similar to Bryce Huff with the pressure percentages, but for an inside player, like over a small sample size. But even in Bryce's case, like Bryce had the 10 sacks or whatever, like he's never had an NFL sack in the regular season game.
Yeah.
And guys are talking about him like this, which is
you're right. He's still got a lot to prove.
Yeah, you don't see that often. So I was just writing about that for SI with what Clint said today. People could check it out, si.com/NFL/Eagles. But I was just writing about it because you rarely see this they speak with such certainty about a player who hasn't done it, which is rare, very rare. It's interesting.
Yeah, it is. We're going to see how it all shakes out. I'm excited to see what more with Jomo. John, let's keep moving on the field today. I want to ask about Sidney Brown. John, was he out there today? Any sign of injury? Because I was a little worried, not worried, but, I saw him grab that shoulder in the preseason game. Wasn't sure if something happened there. What's the update on Sidney?
Yeah, no, he practiced, and that was good. The guys who got banged up, Sidney was the only one that got practice. The guys who got banged up in the game. Elijah Cooks didn't practice.
Yeah. Might have been the end for Elijah, unfortunately, John.
Yeah, he was out there watching, so hopefully it's not that serious. But yeah, I mean, with Darius Cooper coming up, he got some first team reps today. Now AJ's still not back. Devontae is playing, but so they have some to go around. It was interesting because I had not seen him take a first team rep, and he caught a pass from Jalen Hurts over the middle of the field, and Jalen went up to him afterwards, patted him on the helmet, and was pretty excited. So,
he's coming, John. Darius Cooper's coming. You're telling me he looked all right with the ones?
Yeah, he made a nice catch. There was a earlier one where he's not perfect. He was had a chance at a Tanner McKee throw and wasn't able to haul it in. It was a tough catch, but wasn't able to haul it in. So, but later he got a rep with the ones, and he made a nice catch over the middle of the field. So he's heading, and Terrace Marshall is back. He got a lot of traffic today. He made a couple catches, but he also was the intended receiver on the pick six. But I'm not sure that was his fault. That was just a telegraph throw from Tanner. So it was probably more on the quarterback. But but the guys who are coming are the guys that people, I don't know, they don't want them to come. Most fans I talk to, Johnny Wilson and Anaya Smith, they're gonna make this team.
Yeah, are you more toward them keeping 6 now than you were before the preseason game, where Cooper really kind of came alive, and now it seems like the team saw that too, and they're giving him some first team reps. Do you think the likelihood of them keeping 6 wide receivers has increased?
Yeah, a little bit. And again, he's got to finish, more. It can't be just that one game. But if he continues to play well in the preseason, then I think, I think Howie will tend to, in the more modern era, since they made the roster changes and the rules became more liberalized, um, he's more apt to, cut veterans and make sure uh, that um, he doesn't put people on waivers who could potentially be claimed. And obviously, if you're vested, you don't have to go on waivers. So that's sort of how the Eagles have been doing it over the past couple of years. And if they have that fear that somebody might pick him up, they might keep 6 receivers. Because remember, a lot of people say, "Hey, the final cuts." No, it's the initial cut down to
Right.
53. Going to be a
Exactly.
lot of movement after the initial cut down. So that's always the case. Also Dorian Thompson-Robinson is really playing much better than Kyle McCord over the past week. So
Hmm.
that's going to be interesting as well because Kyle, which is disappointing because he has not played well. It almost seems like polar opposites. Like Thompson Robinson is gaining more confidence and feeling more comfortable and doing things, and Kyle is just going the opposite direction. Everything was quick and on time, and now he's holding on to the football, and it's gotten ugly for Kyle McCord. So it's going to be that third quarterback job is going to be interesting because um, Kyle's not played well over the last week or so.
Maybe some early jitters for Kyle McCord, feeling the pressure a little bit of trying to make an NFL roster. Welcome to the NFL, young man. We'll see how he progresses through the rest of camp so far. I'm with everybody right now here on a Saturday edition of Football 24/7. Thanks so much for being here, everybody. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and consider becoming a member. We're going to do a bunch of giveaways of jerseys for the Eagles this year, maybe some ticket giveaways I'm working on now. We'll see if I can make something happen in that regard. So get your memberships in, and thank you so much for being here on a Saturday edition. John, you just spoke a little about the offense. It seems like it was kind of a lighter practice today, which makes sense coming off the game on Thursday night. But what'd you see from Jalen Hurts and the offense won today out there?
Yeah, a lot of, as I mentioned, a lot of running game work early. A lot of underneath stuff. So almost reverted back to the opening days of camp. Didn't see. Trying to think if I didn't see one shot down the field. So I would say it's more of, there were a couple layered throws. I mean, maybe the longest one was to Johnny Wilson, which I thought was a positive because that was the first team rep for Johnny Wilson. And he threw it, Jalen threw it down the seam, and it was a layered pass, sort of over the linebackers before, in between the safeties. And that's a throw I was thinking, and I jotted down in my notebook. That's a throw that he would not have thrown to Johnny Wilson last year because he wouldn't have had confidence that he would
Right.
catch it. And if you drop the ball or tip it in the middle of the field, that's got interception written all over it. And he threw it, and again, it's practice, so you can try things. And Johnny made a nice hands catch down the seam. So he's another guy who's getting better.
Johnny seems to be finding some confidence, John.
Yeah, confidence is a big thing with players, man.
John, there's confidence is a big thing in everything, I think, in life.
Yeah. And he is getting more confident. He snatched it out of the air. And that's the first thing I thought. I was like, poof, Jalen would have never threw that to him last year. And even in practice. And he did, and he made the catch. And saw the same thing with Jahan Dotson. I mean, Jahan's a much higher level player, but he didn't trust him early because he was new and probably didn't know the entire offense. And then later in the season, Jahan started, making plays when they were available. and you saw the confidence grow. So that was probably the longest play of the day. So it was more that first, if you remember back to the first couple days of camp, it was more about working underneath stuff, run game, things like that. Couple RPOs, quarterback draws, things like that.
Good stuff there, Johnny Mac. John, any update on Zack Bond?
Yeah, he was back in a limited
Okay, because
way
I've been getting a
today.
little worried. I do not like hearing back injuries, John. I hate them. Just make me nervous, man. I just, you never know with the back.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you there's no concern from the Eagles'
Okay,
perspective. They're
that's good.
they're just being cautious, and you see this all around the NFL. I saw, you see some of these star players who tweet. AJ's doing the same thing, right? And he was out there before practice running sprints, so he's getting closer. But Zach was back in a limited way today, so he's getting closer. They don't need Zack Bond to play,
Yeah, no, they don't right now. I just wanted to make sure, I don't know, when it's it's starting to feel like it's been a while. So I just wanted to make
Well, it
sure.
has, but the
Yeah,
thing is, and I pointed out last week, if you're hurt, they're not going to let you on the field. He has been watching intently, trying to help Jihad Campbell and Smile Munden the whole time. That's a dead giveaway that it's not serious. If anything is serious, you're either not on the field, or if
right.
you progress to where you need your rehab, you're on a side field working with a trainer. Zach and AJ have been, essentially with their teammates and with the coaches watching players. In Zach's case, he often, shadows Jihad Campbell and tries to give him advice in between reps. And so it's not serious. That's just the new age of football. If anything's slightly amiss, they're not going to risk really, really good players. Certainly here, not everyone does it the same, but they're going to be very cautious, and that's been the case, and it's hard to argue with.
Yep, no doubt about it. John, a couple more questions, brother, before I let you go here on Saturday edition. Just in a Johnny Mac opinion here. Do you think they're overdoing the lack of pushing the ball downfield in practice? I'm just going off of what you tell me. They don't seem to push the ball downfield very much. Or do you think it's the right thing to do, considering, you don't want to practice putting the ball in bad situations. You want to practice protecting the football. What is your perspective on that, on just that part of it?
Well, during the first, say, eight practices, they're installing different things each day to the offense. And early, I remember when Nick first got here, he would do a lot of red zone on the first day. They didn't do red zone until much later this year for whatever reason. But the last part of the install was when they did backed up and 4-minute offense last week. So now the full offense is in, and now they seem to have almost turned it over and are starting back to what they did originally in day one, day two, which is more of the run game and more of the stuff. So again, I go back to what JJ Watt said. These drills have specific designs.
Right.
It's not you're not trying to matriculate down the field. You're trying to work on things you want to work on. And it might be, a throw out to the flat. It might be a screen. Doug Peterson used to have one practice. It was the most boring practice of the year, I could tell you, where the whole practice was just practicing landmarks in the screen game, where you're supposed to be, the offensive lineman. That's the kind of detail that you have in practice. So when I often say it took me 20 years to learn how to watch practice, I'm not exaggerating.
Right.
It's not. I think I say it all the time. I think most people go into it with they're watching a game, and it's not the same.
Got Johnny Mac. Good stuff. Last question, Jihad Campbell. Anything from him today? A lot of eyes on the rookie so far through training camp.
Well, I think the most interesting thing was off the field because I asked Vic, why did Smile Munden start and why did Jihad not start? And
Oh, yeah, I heard this.
it was related to the training staff putting sort of a limit on the reps. His plan was they were all going to play basically the same amount of reps. So, because that would have been a concern to me. So I'm kind of glad that Vic cleared that up because
because he basically said he played Munden first so that he could put in Campbell and then get a break for Munden, who would probably have to play a lot more reps. If I interpreted it correctly.
Well, he had a rep limit, and the original plan was all three: Trotter, Munden, Campbell would have similar number of reps, but Campbell, they put a limit on Campbell. So, the easiest way to handle it would be to put Munden in first. But so and I don't think Smile played that well because, he missed 3 or 4 tackles. So that's one of the things, you don't get in practice. That's where you're getting alive, where it's like, because he looks good in practice. He's very athletic. He's long. He's in coverage. But then you got an NFL tight end running right through him. You don't have that physical aspect until you see it. With Campbell, it's all positive from a physicality and leverage and athleticism and length. It's all positive. Little concern about if the instincts are there. I don't think he's the most natural linebacker, and I think that's big at that particular position. But, we'll see how it shakes out.
Johnny Mac, great show today, brother. Great recap of practice today. Your final thoughts. Day 11 in the books, John. They're back out on the practice field tomorrow, prepping for a big week versus the Browns. Shadur Sanders had a nice first night out there. Johnny Mac, your final thoughts here before I let you run on this Saturday edition.
My final thought is Ed said, I'm going to ask Vic about Shadur Sanders.
I heard
this
that.
Is pre-practice. And I said, don't bother. You can ask Ed. I said, don't bother. He's not going to answer. And boy, he completely shut Ed down.
Yes, he did. Nope. Oh, that was cool. I even said to myself, I'm sure John said something to Ed about that question. It's funny you say that. Johnny Mac, great show today, brother. We'll catch you tomorrow. All right, man?
All right. Thanks, everybody.
All right, thanks, John. There's Johnny Mac, John McMullen, joining us right here on a special Saturday edition of Football 24/7, day number 11 of training camp in the books. Getting ready now for preseason game number 2. Who's got the math for me? How many days out are we from September 4th? This Eagles season is ramping up. It's been off to a great start. I loved what I saw in preseason game number 1. I'm loving Darius Cooper. How about him getting some runs with the ones today, everybody? Jalen Hurts connecting with him on a pass over the middle. Hurts goes up and gives him a little bit of love. Darius Cooper is coming. I'm telling you guys right now, this team is not going to cut Darius Cooper, who, again, as I just stated, got some runs with the ones today, the first team offense. Great stuff today. For those just checking in, Jacorian Bennett, his first practice with the Philadelphia Eagles was today. He did not get any reps with the ones, which makes sense. Got to acclimate. Started out with the 3s. By the end of practice, he got a couple reps with the 2s. So we will keep an eye on him. I think that job is that battle there is kind of opening up completely. So we're going to have to keep an eye on that. I want to thank and welcome, by the way, everybody for being here, man. Love each and every one of you guys. HKP, thanks for being here on your break, brother. Appreciate it. JD3, I'm going to get to all of our super chats today. Lamar Davis, what's up, my boy Lamar? Lamar, I learned my lesson on Thursday night. Thanks to you, my friend. No more vacuums for me. All right. CZ, what's up, brother? Gregory's in here. Good to see all of the great people of JAKIB Nation on a Saturday afternoon. Twizzler's in here. What's up, Twiz? Rico, Mark, even my boy Texas Boy, who you guys love to bash in the chat. But Texas Boy, I know you know I love you, brother. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. Intern Sirianni's in here. Abe, what's up, Abe? Good to see everybody. And Alfredo as well. Anybody I missed, didn't mean to miss you, but it's always good to get a JAKIB Nation chat check. Appreciate all you guys. Michael Heft, Peter Riley was in here. Master Eagle. Man, we got a lot of people in here. Love all you guys. Appreciate all of you guys. The shirt says Kate May, my friend. DS, the shirt says Kate May. How about this Eagles hat? My girl gave me this Eagles hat. Now, it came flat, but guys, I can't. She gave me two. I can't do the flats. Actually, yeah, wait a second there. Let me make this a little bigger for my big noggin. Wait a second. Maybe I can pull off a flat. I don't know. So I decided to bend the rim a little bit and wear it for the show today. Thank you to my beautiful girl, Emily, for giving me the hat. All right. So shout out to her, and appreciate everybody, all you guys, for being here today. It seemed like a kind of a light practice today. Didn't feel like it was too upbeat or a lot going on. So overall, good to get him back on the field. Again, big week this week. They got the joint practices with the Browns. How about Shadur Sanders, by the way? Where are all the people who told me Shadur Sanders was going to stink? Now, it's one preseason game, but I told you guys, they slept this league. They didn't do him right. It's one thing for him to fall to the second round, maybe. He fell to the fifth. I said, something's wrong here. Something is wrong here. I hope Shadur Sanders continues to prove everybody wrong. Great stuff by Shadur Sanders the other night. How about, where's my resident Commander fan? Where is James Jones? I don't know. I didn't watch the game, but somewhere on my social media feeds, I think I saw a Jaden Daniels ugly interception. You hate to see it. You hate to see it for Jaden Daniels. We'll see what happens with that. I saw, I guess the Giants, are they playing right now? Jackson Dart had a good game. I think I saw a tweet today that Jackson Dart had a good start. So we'll be keeping our eye on all the NFC East, obviously. Texas, boy, listen, man, I know you're in here because, when you're a Cowboy fan right now, what's the best thing you can do? How can we get mad at Texas, boy, guys? Think about it. Think about if our Eagles operated like the Cowboys. You'd be miserable. I'd be miserable. So you kind of I can almost extend a little bit of an olive branch to Texas boy who he doesn't know where to go. So he comes over to the Eagles chats. He hangs out with me because he loves listening to me yap. And he goes back and forth to the Eagle fans. That's what woodpeckers do. They peck it. When you're at the top, everybody wants a piece. That's how it works. So Texas boy, got to have a little bit of love for him. You got to have a little bit of love for him. We appreciate him being here. CZ, what's up, brother? Hurt season. Good to see everybody. A nice Saturday edition. Sometimes I like to do a Saturday show. All right. I know it's normally the day that we don't have much content, but I love to be here and hear from the great people of JAKIB Nation. All right. So good practice today. Day number 11 in the books. Johnny Mack, good work today. Great breakdown of practice today. As always, we'll keep an eye on everything that happens. If anything breaking happens, I'll come right back here on the channel and be live. Okay. So if not, though, we'll catch you tomorrow. The Eagles will have another practice tomorrow, practice number 12. All right. Texas boy says that second half was better. Texas boy, rumor is, Texas boy, you're thinking of changing the allegiance, and this hat is bad to the bone, baby. Look at this thing. Although I don't think I can rock the flats. 1933. This hat is bad to the bone, baby. Hat is badass. All right. First hat was kind of high. I know they're all kind of goofy. This isn't my particular style, guys. You know me. I like to rock the Kangos. So, yeah, it's a little high. It's a little odd. It was meant to be a flapper. I bent it. I don't know if I messed it up, but I digress. Who cares? All right, everybody. Love all you guys. Thanks for being here on a Saturday edition of the show. I appreciate each and every one of you. Hit the like button on your way out. All right, drop your comments down below. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. And again, for those who are not members, Gregory is not a member. Trey is not a member. DS is not a member. Silent Mindset, not a member. Brian Biddings, not a member. Hurt Season, not a member. King Blend, not a member. Texas Boy is not a member. Get your memberships in, everybody. We're going to be doing a bunch of giveaways all year long. All right. I love all of our great people, all of our great watchers, all of our great members. Thanks, everybody, for a great Saturday show. Nice 45 minutes of content for you guys. Hit that like button on your way out, and I'll see you next time, everybody.
EAGLES Eagles.